Anupama, Tuesday the 12th of November. Anuj thinks which kurta to pack and thinks to ask Anu. Anupama says take this kurta and many clothes, as there will be many functions. He says you had gone to catch the flight. She says when I didn't go out of your life then how can I go from your heart? Anuj says when you understand me so much then why didn't you understand 5 years back, that Adya and I needed you and you should have bear our anger. He says when I saw you again, I went back to those years, and when you not here. I don't know how to live and control my feelings. He says I am not that happy to attend the marriage but is happy that I will meet you. Anupama reminds him that he has to marry Shruti after coming back. He finds her not there and realizes it is their dream. Kinjal and Kavya are doing the arrangements. Bar teases them for sleeping late night. Vanraj brings turban cloth for everyone, and they tie turban to each other. Dimpy gets ready and thinks Titu haven't picked the call. She comes out and hears everyone saying Titu didn't come and haven't picked their calls. Bar says I told him that it is early Mahurat in the morning then also he didn't come. Yashdeep looks at the restaurant and gets worried. Gulati comes there. Titu comes there and recalls falling on the car. He thinks to tell truth to Dimpy. Vanraj asks him to come and tie turban. Dimpy says mummy. Babuji says she will come. Gulati tells Yashdeep that he did wrong by giving partnership to Anupama. He says she ruined you and went to enjoy the marriage. Yashdeep asks what is his benefit. Gulati asks her to give this place to him and he will open Gulati restaurant here. Bar explains the rituals. Vanraj write the cards and write one for Titu family and asks whom to give. Babuji says kids will come from his side. The kids get happy. Bar invites Bappa for their marriage. Titu tells Dimpy that he called her many times. She says she was with Bar, Kinjal and Kavya. He says it was important and asks her to meet him tonight, as he needs to tell something. Yashdeep says this restaurant is like temple for us and I will not sell it. He says I know that it is someone's conspiracy and I will find that person. Gulati asks him not to be emotional. Yashdeep says there is an advantage of being emotional. He says his restaurant will open and the loyal customers will come. Bar tells Vanraj and others that they will get Anshas Mundan and their Jainu too. Babuji says he is our family. Vanraj says there is an advantage of becoming Garjamai. He says he seems to be sad. Kinjal and Kavya tell that he might be nervous and missing his parents. Titu comes to Dimpy and says he wants to talk to her about his past. Vanraj thinks Titu and Dimpy are not here and gets up to check. Titu tells Dimpy that he wants to tell her about his past, which he wanted to tell her before, but couldn't tell her, and says sorry. Dimpy asks if you like someone else and wants to marry her. Titu says no, and says I love you. He asks her to understand him before reacting or judging him. Dimpy says she don't want to listen. Titu says I want to say. Vanraj comes there and scolds them asking if they have shame or not. Dimpy goes from there. Titu says I was talking something important. Vanraj asks what. Titu says couple talk. Vanraj thinks he might ruin my plan. I want to play his band and wants to take procession against him instead of Bharat. Pari tells Kinjal that they have a family here and will stay here with everyone. Kinjal says I have a job there, and your school and friends are there. Toshu says we will stay here and I will get your admission done here. Kinjal asks what about my wish. Toshu says you don't need to do any work here. She asks what about my job and promotion. Toshu says you will get job here. Kinjal argues. Toshu asks why all the women are confused and irritating. She asks why do you degrade the women. He says don't argue like mummy and says I came to enjoy the marriage. She says she will leave with Pari after the marriage. Shruti gives gift for Dimpy from her side. Anuj asks her to come with him. Shruti says she is fine. Anuj says Adya is returning to India, she will like it. Shruti says you both will get the break and asks him to enjoy the marriage until then she will do arrangements of their marriage. Anuj excuses himself as Adya calls him. Shruti gets worried. The guest ladies bring some sweets etc. for Dimpy's marriage and says they made it with cleanliness and there is no insect in it. The ladies taunt Anupama for ruining her name and India's name too. Kinjal asks her not to judge when they don't know. Bar asks did you see her coming here, we have nothing to do with her. If she has done mistake or not. She says Vanraj and I asked her not to come here to attend Dimpy's marriage and says she will not come here. Anupama's flight lands and she comes out of the airport. She touches the ground and says Jai Hind. She gets emotional and thinks to make good memories and asks herself to smile.